Hey, what's up, everyone? Scotty Shaw, day 6 of 40 Days of K. And today's word is challenges. And this essay was a little shorter, but the main story, um, or I guess the concept for Coach K is talking about, avoiding getting to a personal comfort zone, not getting into a rut, trying to approach everything as a new thing. And I think it's interesting because sometimes we talk about you want to create a system, a routine, but for yourself, I think it makes sense to avoid getting in too much of a routine or a system, or at least creating one that lets you look into new challenges because you definitely don't want to get stuck in one thing. And unfortunately, a lot of times, daytime jobs are like that. Life can be like that. But I think the biggest thing is when people stagnate, a lot of times they just let it happen, and it's something I really hated. But yeah, so here it is. Coach K says, I think it is important not to get into a personal comfort zone. To avoid this, I try to constantly take on new challenges, to test limits, and often to discover that those limits were never really there. And he goes on to mention taking on challenges such as motivational speaking, the building of the Emily Krzyzewski Family Life Center, which I usually just call the Emily K Center, EKC, Emily K. And then he also has an XM satellite radio show. And then the main story he gets to is in fall 5, also my first semester at Duke. Jerry Colangelo, the managing director of USA Basketball, offered Coach K the position of the U.S. national team coach. Starting off for 3 years, the idea was, end in 2008, winning the Olympics in Beijing, and this coming off losing in 2004. I think 2002 we got sixth in the FIBA World Cup, I think, or whatever it's called at the time, and then bronze in 2004 at the Olympics. I forgot. That's an interesting thing. Everyone treats the FIBA World Cup as a bigger tournament. We treat the Olympics as the bigger tournament. But I don't know. That's what happened. I think it has to do with probably has to do with the Dream Team. So anyways, he sat down with this big group of people, his family, his wife, daughters, husbands, and everyone recognized this is a big honor, big opportunity, but are you going to be healthy enough? How are you going to deal with this? 8 years before, you had to deal with sickness and exhaustion and surgery and stuff. You couldn't coach that whole year, 94 to 95, and every worry that everyone brought up, and this became contentious and emotional. He kept going back to challenges make him feel fresh, young, and hungry. And I think the big thing is eventually everyone came around and agreed, it's an incredible honor, chance to serve this nation, and a personal challenge. And, for Coach K, he didn't just jump in because he also knew he needed the support of those he loves the most, so that care and belief, But in this case, he also needed them to get on board with the direction he wanted, so he can take these challenges, feel young and all that. So, one major thing he says here is, no matter how successful you believe yourself to be, you can never feel as if you've reached the absolute pinnacle. There are always new and wonderful challenges out there, and part of maintaining success is knowing when you need to accept them. I am rejuvenated, I am nervous, I am eager, and I am so excited to discover what amazing challenges or what amazing things I will learn as a result of taking on this new challenge. And, in this case, he's talking about, coaching U.S. basketball. This book was written in 2006. or I guess published 2006. But yeah, so at this time he had not won in Beijing. Um, he had not, 3 times, I think, was it Beijing, London, Rio? Forgot. But yeah, basically he hadn't done all that quite yet. And now looking back, we can say, okay, Coach K has won those gold medals. Also FIBA and all that, even with our B teams and C teams at the FIBA World Cup. But I think in the end, the big thing is Coach K clearly needed to have the care and belief of his family, the people he cared about the most, that he loves the most, to be able to take on these challenges. And these challenges, he needed them to stay fresh, stay young, and all that. And this is something I mentioned a couple times the past few days. My lack of challenges in high school, that was a challenge. Just pass the time, survive 5 years until I can get somewhere, wherever I want to be. But more importantly, use those 5 years to create myself, create myself as a college applicant that the top schools would want. So then I would actually get to go somewhere, and just making things happen, out of nothing, just, creating anything, trailblazing, carving out my own path. And that's the thing, pioneering everything in my own life, because there was no one to guide me, advise me on anything. It was just, all right, time to blaze a trail. And, I think that's a big thing for me. That's a lot of the challenges I didn't have. So my challenge was finding challenges, creating challenges, creating that basketball league. And from there, being able to say, all right, I'm gonna be able to go somewhere like Duke. And from there, what are my new challenges? Got to figure out life, figure out, how to study, how to take notes, learn very quickly, catch up on how to socialize, because I didn't really get to be a teenager, 13 going on 30, 13 to 18, I was just kind of in transition, just, passing through, didn't have time or a chance to adjust to the, the fact that we were going to move, and just suddenly it just happened, and, just out of nowhere, went straight into the next thing, and that was it. And, getting to Duke, being able to say, all right, you know what, it's time to, finally get my life back on track, because now things are under my control. So, being able to say from there, how do I stay fresh and stuff, all the challenges of college, but then graduating. After that, a lot of the challenges became, how do I go and build the life I want? And it took a while, because something I've always been aware of is I'm not the best at any one thing, but I'm great at a lot of different things, and I'm great at putting it all together and, creating something new, carving out my own path. So, where some people would say, all right, I'm the best at this one thing, the best at that thing. Oh man, didn't get to sleep much the past few days, but my thing isn't about being the best at any one thing. It's about putting together the best package in a way that very few people can match. So, I worked in finance for a bit, did some tutoring. I also, did quality assurance, which, when you're getting nitpicked for everything growing up, you become excellent at quality assurance, because you're just used to having to cover every single base, to the point of not just diminishing returns, but pointless returns, negligible returns, because that's just, this is how it is. Either you go through that, or you just constantly have to explain why things aren't any better than whatever. than the result you put in, or the result manifesting from the effort you put in. So, for me, there's a lot of that. And eventually, switching over, doing tech, managing a summer academy, a tech school, basically. 150 some students, 20 some instructors, creating new curriculum, all that, organizing talks, field trips, handling logistics, handing out shirts, and making sure everyone got a shirt, making sure everyone's on track to complete their lessons. But then also, if people need help, they can come to me, I can teach them. And, all while teaching my own group. A different age group, 13 to 22. I think my age group was a very wide range, socioeconomically, age, skill set, interest. And so had to do a lot of that. And most of the time, it was just being able to jump in and out of various mindsets, various skill sets, get the job done. And, at the end of that, summer 2016, realized I feel like there's nowhere for me to go unless it's upper management. So, question is, do I try to get upper management somewhere or try to do my own thing? Eventually, decide to try to do my own thing. And even with HackCOVID, built the website, created the marketing, recruited participants, mentors, handled a lot of the communications, recruited team members, had to train a lot of them in various ways. But that's really the same thing I did for Tech Tree Root, creating the hackathons and training the teams for schools like UT Arlington, UT Dallas, SMU, UNT, Baylor, A&M, Rice, Texas Southern University, North American University, Hacklahoma at OU, Rowdy Hacks at UTSA, and this is the same stuff I did at Hack Duke. And a lot of that also came from, the experience I had in undergrad, being part of the basketball marathon, the Duke Carolina basketball marathon. And that will always be one of my favorite challenges of all time. We would raise money, put together this 24 to 20, or originally 26-hour long basketball game. The very first one would actually set a Guinness Book of World Records for the longest basketball game ever. Then it got broken, I think, a week later by someone in Japan or the Philippines. But, every year we would do 26 hours, eventually just 24. But that's the thing, raising money for that to help kids with life-threatening illnesses, and especially their families, put together trips for them, for bowling or whatever, family nights out, organizing basketball camps, just especially for them with the Duke and Carolina coaches, and, just raising money to, support all that stuff, the funding and all that. And I think that's the thing. That was the first time I was involved in something large scale like that, on that level. And, definitely big time shout out to the two Davids, both from SIGAP, also my Bible study group, letting me get involved. And, it was a lot of fun. Learned a whole lot from that. And I would say, although I'm doing, tech events now, basketball marathon is very much how I got started. And I think, basketball league to Duke to basketball tournaments, basketball marathon, and then eventually, realizing, all right, if I want to do something on my own, basketball marathon was something I loved, but it's probably not something a lot of people are going to do. So what's a modern version where I can help with education, help people get jobs, and turn into hackathons. But I definitely would love to do a basketball marathon again at some point. So, I think, that's the thing. I was always just looking for challenges, and, having challenges, I would rather fail at challenges over and over than to never have challenges again, because that was just the most miserable time of my life. When people say you never want to be the smartest person in the room, or if you are, you're doing something wrong. I didn't do anything wrong. I just ended up in that situation. But I knew I had to, find a way out, and that's what I did. And that's where a lot of great challenges came up. And I think the best thing that Coach K said in this essay. Let's see, where was it? Oh, right. Um, I read this earlier, but no matter how successful you believe yourself to be, you can never feel as if you've reached the pinnacle. There are always new and wonderful challenges out there, and part of maintaining success is knowing when you need to accept them. I agree. You know, that's the problem. I had, felt like I reached the absolute pinnacle. There was nowhere to climb. I had to find new challenges, and I did. And um, yeah, that's life. Got to find challenges. Stay fresh. You know, because without challenges, what's the point of life? You know, it's not the number of years you live. It's the amount of life you lived in those years. So definitely look for challenges in life. Stay fresh. Just keep pushing. Overcome adversity. Just gotta believe in yourself. Start finding ways to inject that belief into others. So that's why I do what I do. Not Tech Tree Root or HackCOVID specifically, but just me being me, trying to just have an impact and bring others along for the ride. Because in the end, without challenges and without growth, what's the point? So yeah, that's challenges. And the next word, tomorrow's word, just want to check. I think it's collective responsibility. Yeah, it is. Another one of the fingers on Coach K's fist. So take it easy, have fun, stay healthy, stay safe, stay fresh, and keep finding challenges.